So who's been every Championship club's best player so far this season? Let's take a look. So with us being now 4 games into this Championship season, there have already been several key players standing out from different Championship sides. In today's video, I thought that I'd pick out who I've enjoyed watching so far from every Championship club and who for me has been your best player. I want to know in the comments down below, who would you pick out to be your best player so far? And as always, if you do go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. But before we do get into anything, a big shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, you can find the new OneFootball app in the top line of the description down below. Really handy football app. We do have Championship football coming back this weekend, thank God. So if you want to keep up to date with everything going on at the weekend, then OneFootball is the place to be. Get live updates to your phone. We also have the domestic transfer market deadline day tomorrow, so if you want to keep up to date with all the deals that do go through tomorrow, then OneFootball is the place to stay on top of everything, so link down below. But without any further ado, let's hop into this one. Barnsley Jordan Williams, the versatile youngster, I think, has done a job wherever he's played so far this season. We all know that it's been a bit of a turbulent start to the season for Barnsley, with Struber going ahead and departing. Goals have been a bit of a struggle for Barnsley to come by so far this season. He took his goal nicely against Borough in the EFL Cup, Williams. I think that post-lockdown especially, his game actually has come on quite a bit, and you can say the same for quite a few of the Barnsley youngsters. Callum Styles, another one who's impressed me so far this season. But Williams for me just about pips it. That versatility he's got to his game, he does a job wherever he plays. Birmingham Ivan Sanchez, although a big shout out needs to be given to both George Friend and Harlee Dean, who's really risen his game so far this season. I think that George Friend's introduction has got the best out of Harlee Dean so far. But moving over to Ivan Sanchez, he's a player who's instantly taken to this level. Normally for some players coming from abroad, it takes them a little bit of time to settle in. You can already see the quality he's got on the ball here. 2 assists for the Spanish winger so far, but that doesn't really do him justice for just how explosive he's actually been. The only way defenders can get near him sometimes is to foul him. His trickery on the ball, something else. I think that with Birmingham being a bit of a rigid outfit this season, someone like Sanchez will make all the difference for them going forward, and over a full season he's going to be having an absolute wonder to watch. Bournemouth Arnaud Danjuma, the obvious pick here, but what an impact he's had so far. He did miss their most recent match in the Championship against Coventry due to injury, but in the games he has featured in, he's been a breath of fresh air at this level. 2 goals and 1 assist so far, both fantastically taken. That goal against Blackburn on the opening day to go and win that 1-3-2. Brilliant cut inside from the left and then to bend into that top corner. He's a bundle of energy and a really exciting flair player who I think will just continue to go on and thrive this year. Blackburn Rovers Bradley Johnson. Now, it's been a terrific start to the season for Rovers, and to be honest, I could have picked absolutely anyone from their starting 11 to go into this. You know, the likes of Adam Armstrong, Tyrese Dolan are really unlucky not to be grabbing this one, but Bradley Johnson has actually gone ahead and won the Championship Player of the Month award, and deservedly so. He's been that pendulum in midfield for Blackburn, scored 3 goals for them so far this season. They've adapted their system without Bradley Dack into this 4-3-3, where it's sort of Bradley Johnson and Lewis Holtby playing those number 8 roles, and they've done so efficiently so far this season. Obviously, the standout performance was against Derby, 2 goals in that one, but it's such an effective system that Rovers have got going for them at the moment. You know, Adam Armstrong, league's top scorer at the moment, Tyrese Dolan, who's come on leaps and bounds. Brentford Josh Da Silva, possibly one of the best bits of business that Brentford did over the summer was tying Da Silva down to a contract until 2024. By far one of the most important players in that system at the moment, especially with Benrahma potentially off. That creativity he brings from midfield. So far in this season in the Championship, he's been a leading figure for both chances created and dribbles per 90. He's been right up there with those stats. In the 4 games he's played, he's got a goal and an assist, but the 21-year-old's got a massive future ahead. Bristol City Jamie Patterson, a player who I think that everyone's always rated, but he was always a player who turned up very much in streaks, in flashes. Right now he seems to be doing it on a consistent basis, and it's been a wonderful start to the season for the playmaker. 2 man of the match performances against both Coventry and Sheffield Wednesday. In that time he's got 2 goals and an assist in the Championship. There's big things to come from Patterson this season, although I would also give a shout out for Chris Marston at Bristol City, who I also think's had a massive influence on them going forward. Cardiff City Marlon Pack, believe it or not, but his underlying numbers have actually been really quite impressive for Cardiff so far this season. Yes, he did get absolutely rinsed by Yaku Mate in that game against Reading. However, from midfield he's done fairly well, averaging almost 2 tackles per 90, as well as creating the 3rd most amount of chances in the Championship so far this season. That can be skewed a little bit by him taking set pieces, but even so impressive nonetheless. Coventry City, I'm going to give it to Gustavo Hamer. Despite that red card he picked up against Bournemouth, if you look past that, his other performances have been absolutely superb for Coventry so far. We mentioned it a few times terms about chances created, but leading the way for the season so far with 12 chances created is Gustavo Hamer, despite that red card he picked up last time. I think from what we've established so far, he's a player who likes to play on the edge a little bit. You know, he's got a red card and 2 yellows so far this season. But with a player like this, I think you just got to sort of accept it, because when he is good, he's very good. Derby County, Nathan Byrne, I think it's been a testament to the right back so far this season that Derby haven't really missed Jayden Bogle since he's left. And if you've been watching the channel for quite some time now, you'll have known how highly I actually rated Jayden Bogle. But I think that in terms of an attacking fullback, they couldn't really have done any better in terms of a replacement. I think in the second half of last season for Wigan, he was absolutely one of their standout players from right back. So far this season, the game against Norwich, brilliant defensive display in that one, kept Onel Hernandez quiet, and he's also shown his attacking intent and will to get forward as well. I've been really impressed by him so far. For Huddersfield, I've gone for Harry Toffolo. It was a bit of a tough start to the season for the Terriers with their opening 2 fixtures, but they've built on that since. Toffolo got the assist for that crazy acrobatical goal for Fraser Campbell, which went on to win the game against Forest. I think he did well in the Rotherham game, where there also wasn't all too much in that one either. Luton Town, Sonny Bradley, they have that defensive shape about them which was missing at the start of last season for some reason. You know, Sonny Bradley and Matty Pearson were just a calamity waiting to happen at times last year, but this time round, since lockdown, Sonny Bradley, fantastic for me. I think he's been that leader at the back, and I think it's a testament to how good he's been and their whole defensive unit that they've only conceded 2 goals so far this season. Middlesbrough, Paddy McNair, I really think he's been superb so far this season. There's always been that question over McNair, you know, what's his best position? Is it holding midfield or is it further back in defence? He's been playing centre half for them so far this season, and also has been contributing going forward, or, you know, he's on set pieces for them. He's bagged 2 assists so far. He's got a brilliant delivery on him, hasn't he? But also as well, his defensive stats has been top notch. No player in the Championship so far this season has made more successful tackles than Paddy McNair, 17 in total. Chuba Akpom also deserves a bit of praise for Borough. 2 goals, 2 games for Akpom, but McNair so far for me really has stood out. For Millwall, I think it's hard to look past Jed Wallace. He was their star man from last season, has continued that form into this year, already bagging 2 goals for Millwall. Now, goals have been pretty hard for Millwall to come by so far this season. From the 3 they've scored, you know, Wallace has bagged 2 of those. The winner in the Rotherham game and then the goal in the Brentford game, which ended level, in which he put in the man of the match performance. We all know what Wallace is about. He is Millwall's real danger man going forward, and actually has been playing a little bit more centrally recently as well. Norwich City, Oliver Skipp. It's been a bit of a disjointed start to the season for Norwich. I think it's fair to say they've not really nailed down what is their best first 11, but Oliver Skipp so far for me has been a real standout in terms of defensive stats. 2.5 tackles per match, 1.3 interceptions. Also going forward as well, he is someone who will look to get his head up. He's very tidy on the ball. You can see he's got a bit of pedigree about him, you know, coming through at Spurs. Mike Sarins has been another player that I quite like the look of so far this season for Norwich as well. I'm amazed that he's still at the club really, but he definitely should have a couple more assists for the quality of balls he's swinging into the box. You just need to get someone on the end of them. For Nottingham Forest, I mean, it's picking the best of a bad bunch, isn't it? For me, I'm going to go for Harry Arter. I think in the 2 performances that he's had for Forest so far this season, he's added a little bit more bite to that midfield, a little bit more energy that they were lacking as well. You know, he is someone who's willing to chase down every single loose ball. I think that is something that they have been missing particularly. So far this season, averaging 3 tackles per 90. And I also think he adds a little bit of leadership into that side as well. I think that long-term Arter will turn out to be a decent player for Forest this season. Preston North End, Ryan Ledson, I think his game has come on leaps and bounds since lockdown and the resumption of football. He partners Ben Pearson really well. I think that those two complement each other quite well. Ben Pearson is that sitter and Ryan Ledson's a little bit more box to box. It's also on the ball though, you know, off the ball we all know what Ryan Ledson can offer, but on the ball he's improved exponentially, and he's also not as rash in the tackles now. You know, when we first signed him, he was a little bit of a hothead, you know, similar to Ben Pearson, where he put his foot in and get a silly red card. That part of his game's not there anymore, I don't think. At least we've not seen it for a while. I also think Scott Sinclair deserves a lot of praise as well. Obviously that brace he scored against Brentford, that's now 3 goals for this season for him. Alan Brown I think's been much better playing in that number 10 role, but Ryan Ledson so far has been the standout for me. QPR, I'm going to go for Bright Samuel. He has been bigged up as the main man for them this season really after the departure of Eze. Don't get me wrong, Samuel was brilliant last season, but this really is the chance for him now to be the main man, and so far this season he's impressed. No player has completed more successful dribbles in the Championship than Bright Samuel, averaging 4 dribbles per 90, 16 in total so far this season. He scored the equaliser against Borough. He's a tricky player who can win a penalty or 2 as well, and is someone who can drive QPR at the pitch. Now with the added additions of players that they've gone in for in the transfer market, I think they'll supplement him quite well this season. For Reading, I am going to go for the main man Lucas João, but I could have picked out anyone from that starting 11. They've all been terrific so far this season, but João in 3 appearances has bagged himself 2 goals and an assist as well. Their figurehead going forward, he absolutely tore apart Derby on the opening day, didn't he, with that wonderful assist. A man of the match performance in that that game, although there are some other Reading players who definitely deserve a bit of praise as well. Omar Richards has been fantastic at least. They've got several youngsters who have really impressed so far. Rinomhota has been really good on the opposite end of that. Michael Morrison, I think he's been a terrific leader at the back. Overall, it's been a terrific start to the season for Reading, but Lucas Giles probably grabbed the most headlines. Rotherham United, Sean McDonald. Rotherham don't give away all too many goal scoring opportunities, and I think that's a testament to how good their defensive line has been, but also McDonald in midfield. He anchors that role in holding midfield just in front of that back four, averaging 1.8 tackles per 90 and 1.3 interceptions. I think that his experience along the season will be vital for Rotherham in terms of some of their more youngster players leaning on someone like McDonald. He's always a viable option for the ball, and he keeps things simple and ticking along. It's been a solid start to life back in the Championship for Rotherham, and I think that McDonald's adapted well. Sheffield Wednesday, Massimo Luongo. I don't think that his role can be underestimated in that Wednesday midfield. So far this season, no other midfielder has made more tackles in the Championship than Luongo. 15 successful tackles. We mentioned it on a few times on the channel so far, but Luongo is the player who really gives that Wednesday midfield a bit of balance to it. I think that with the likes of Bannon and Izzy Brown in that midfield as well, two more ball play midfielders, you need that bit of steel in there, and Luongo adds just that, you know, loves a yellow card been booked 3 times this season, but also has real ability on the ball as well. I've always rated Luongo quite highly, and he's always someone that I look out for whenever I am watching Wednesday. Stoke City, Adam Davis. I think that he's one goalkeeper in the Championship who isn't being talked about enough at the moment. Since Jack Butland had that bit of a disaster class away at Leeds in that 5-0 defeat, it was a horror show defensively in the second half of that game. Adam Davis has been in net ever since, and he's had an absolutely terrific run. 8 clean sheets in 12 competitive matches for Stoke now. He was on top form when Stoke came to Deepdale, kept a clean sheet in that one. I think that him being that calming presence at the back just seems to have calmed down everyone in that Stoke back line. You know, with Jack Butland, it was always very unpredictable in terms of where was the next mistake going to come from. With Davis in net, there seems to be less nerves around the place. Swansea City, Jake Bidwell. I don't think there can be any arguments with this. I think that he's been probably the best fullback in the league so far this season. He's been absolutely terrific for Swansea. Playing as that left wing back, I mean, his average position has been so high up the pitch, but in terms of attacking returns so far this season, he's been superb. With 2 assists and a goal, it probably should be more than that, to be honest. He puts chances on the plate for people. I saw it on the opening day as Swansea came to Deepdale. He was always the man who was in an acre of space free on that left-hand side. The quality of the balls he delivers into the box as well is really something that he's obviously worked on. I think it's a system that Swansea are playing at the moment which has got really the best out of some people, but none more so than Jake Bidwell, who's absolutely thriving in that role. But Watford, I feel like you have to pick a defender. I've gone for Jeremy Ngakia. He's leading the way alongside Paddy McNair at Middlesbrough for the most tackles in the Championship this season, 17 for the youngster. You feel like this one could turn out to be a real bargain as they picked him up from West Ham. Watford are yet to really find their feet going forward in the Championship, but defensively they have been excellent. I think that Ngakia's been a real part of that. Craig Cathcart also deserves praise. I think that he's done well. But fullbacks are always going to grab the headlines a little bit more. I think that with the systems that Watford have used so far, their attackers like to sort of drift inside, which gives their fullbacks a little bit of licence to get forward. They have a very promising player in Ngakia there, and the early signs are very positive. Wycombe, Ryan Allsop. To be honest, I felt a little bit bad for the keeper at times because he's actually put in a string of decent performances for Wycombe for me. I think that despite conceding 10 goals, he's actually come up with a couple of big moments for Wycombe whereby if he hadn't made some saves, it could have got a lot worse for them. You know, I go back to that Swansea game, especially when it was only 2-0. Actually, so far this season in the Championship, no goalkeeper has faced more shots than Allsop. With Wycombe averaging 17 shots against them per game, he's always going to be up against it, but to be honest, I don't think he's been too bad for them. But guys, there we have it. There was my picks for every Championship club and who for me has been their standout player so far this season. Do you agree with my selections? Let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, we have only had 4 games, so we are still very early on into this Championship season, but nevertheless, there have still been quite a few who have caught my eye, so do get your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm always interested to go through and read them all. But apart from that, that will now wrap it up for today's video, so if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. It is always massively appreciated, and please do stick around and subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.